Hey guys, what's up? My name is Anthony, and welcome to another edition of BNA Sports Talk. So I've been doing a couple of team previews, but let's get into some NFL news, some brief things that I want to talk about. So Colin Cowherd the other day on his show mentioned that the NFC is really like turnoveristic. I don't know the right word for it. So he mentioned that the NFC East has had a different champion each of the last 15 years. Like there's been no back-to-back champions, obviously. There's only 4 teams, so obviously there had to be a team that wins. Okay, so anyway, the NFC North, really tumultuous in the last 3 years. The Bears, the Vikings, and the Green Bay Packers have won it each of the last 3 years. And then you have the NFC South with the Falcons, the Panthers, and the Saints, or whatever. And he basically drew out his teams this year that were not going to make the playoffs.
And I'll give you some numbers to back it up. First of all, no NFC team, not a single NFC team, even well-run teams, have made the playoffs 3 straight years. Not a single team. Okay, compare that to the AFC with Brady. The NFC North, 3 different winners last 3 years. Bears, Vikings, Packers. In 2016, the playoff teams were the Cowboys, the Falcons, the Seahawks, the Packers, the Giants, and the Lions. And then in 2017, it went to the Eagles, the Vikings, the Rams, the Saints, the Panthers, and Atlanta again. But then last year, Atlanta was out. And it was the Saints, the Rams, the Bears, the Cowboys, the Seahawks, and the Eagles. In the NFC in the last decade, only one team has won it more than once, Seattle. And that window closed quickly. And a lot of it is because the NFC is so good. The NFC right now may not win the Super Bowl over New England, but it's a much better conference. It's got very few bad teams. The 6 I don't think will make it. I don't think the Saints or the Bears or the Cowboys or the Seahawks will be playoff teams. I think the Rams and the Eagles will. Drew Brees, end of last year, looked tired. He's getting older. They lost their very good center, Max Unger. Mark Ingram, their power runner. Michael Thomas holding out. Their early schedule is brutal. I don't think the Bears make the playoffs, although I think they're really good. But I think Minnesota, Kirk Cousins, year 2 will rebound. I think Aaron Rodgers is back and he'll have his best young defense he's probably had in 7 years. I think that division's really close. I don't think the Bears will be out of the playoffs until about week 16. I don't think the Cowboys are going to make the playoffs. First of all, I think Philadelphia is the best team probably in the NFC, so they're playing for a wild card. The problem with playing for a wild card in the NFC, San Francisco was bad, now they're good. Minnesota was off, I think they'll be better. I don't think the Seahawks make it. Why? Because I think the Rams are the real deal. They've drafted well. They're good, getting a little old on the offensive line, but they've drafted it, and they have replacements. I think San Francisco is going to be the team that doubles their wins or more. Frankly, with Kyler Murray, I wouldn't want to play him early in the year. AFC is the conference of Brady. NFC is the conference of parity, and I think it's going to look totally different this year.
I very well agree with the points that he's making because I made a video about the Bears saying they're not like the 2018 Jags, how they fell off a cliff. But Mitch Trubisky is not Blake Bortles, and I made it very clear about that. And I think the coach is way better. So those are the points that I made then. And with the Bears, I'm looking at this team. What are the other 3 teams? I mentioned in my Lions video too. It's really tight. You have the Vikings, who Kirk Cousins, as much as if you want to fix something, let's say math, and you have a really low score on the ACT in math. You can only get it to such a high score before, you cap out. Or some people are it's just not for them. They're good with art. They can paint a painting like Bob Ross. It's beautiful. But when it comes to math, they just can't put 2 and 2 together. Kirk Cousins, he needs the ball when you're supposed to spike the ball. I mean, Eli Manning is not really making that mistake. A lot of quarterbacks are making that mistake. I think Kirk Cousins, they play 5. They play 5 primetime games this year. Not too sure about them. I think they will bounce back just a little bit. They'll have probably 9-7 record, even though they were 8-7-1 last year. So that's not really bouncing back that much. But they'll play much better this year. Their stats will be much higher. But I don't think Kirk Cousins, his ability to throw away the game is really going to impact anything. I don't really have the utmost confidence in Kirk Cousins. I'm sorry about that. It's based on what I've seen. I think that now that they have a new offensive coach, I forget who it is. They got rid of John DeFilippo. They have a new guy who agrees with Mike Zimmer, and they're gonna run the ball a lot more. They're gonna pound it. But can I trust Dalvin Cook's health? I think Adam Thielen and Stephon Diggs is a little bit overrated as wide receiver core. I think that he's gotten his money now, so what is there to play for anymore type thing. I'm not sure about Kyle Rudolph, not sure about their ages. I have a couple question marks, and I think I'm a little bit out of the line with this, so that's why I'm not going to keep on making that point, because I'm not too sure what to make of the Vikings. You know, some years are great, some years they're awful, and I don't really know what to make of them. I say that they're around the same as this year. I had a full schedule breakdown, and my opinions have changed. I'm a little bit higher on the Vikings. I had them originally as a top 5 pick because they're going to suck, but, you know, the defense is pretty good, and they've been drafting well over the past couple of years. The offensive line is definitely going to be better. But, yeah, so I was mentioning the Packers because I've talked about them before, but basically my opinions about them are, you know, Matt LaFleur and Aaron Rodgers. They're two different guys, and they have two different goals, and they're going to clash a lot. And I said I think it's going to be good. I think it's going to work eventually. But I don't think Aaron Rodgers has Matt LaFleur's respect. I mean, Matt LaFleur has Aaron Rodgers' respect. You know, Aaron Rodgers said, I'm confused which one because they're so similar in age, but basically said, you know, we're friends. Now, I'm not sure what this means. I wouldn't be friends with my head coach. We're partners. We are co-workers. We're not friends. Even Tom Coughlin and Eli Manning, even Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, you ask them and they're like, they don't say, well, we're friends. They don't say, like, we vibe and we're cool together. They say, you know what, I respect this game. We're both smart and we're going to try to win this thing. You don't say that we're friends. That type of thing. They have a really young defense. They got rid of one of their leaders on this defense, Mike Daniels, and I think that's going to really help the Lions. So this is going to be a 10-6 wins the division. I think the Bears take a step back. I do think that they take a step back, but I don't think that's enough to lose the division. So let's go on to the rest of the NFC. I realized the point of the video. I didn't get too sidetracked. I know what the point of this video was. Let's go to the NFC East because somebody knew was going to win this division, right? Now, you could say the Giants lost so many players. I'm not going to... The Giants, just say they're 5-11 at this point. Because if they say they're 5-11 and they're 4-12, they'll be like, yeah, that's about what we thought. But if they end up going 9-7, we're going to be like, great. So let's set the bar low for the Giants. Let's set the bar pretty low for the Redskins, too, who... It seems... I don't even know. Their front office is a really big mess, and I don't trust that. They've been the definition of mediocrity like the Dolphins. Not a good front office. Not a good anything. They're not the Philadelphia Eagles. They're not the Bears. They're not the Patriots. They've drafted well, but they have a bunch of, I call it the gang of misfits. You have Josh Norman, you have Landon Collins, who are just mad at everything, who, you know, they don't play because they love the game. It feels like they play for a bunch of wrong reasons. And, yeah, so the Redskins, they're going to have some great defensive games this year. They're going to win some games that they shouldn't, and then, you know, they're really inexperienced on the offense. Jordan Reed is, I think, still there. Pierre Garçon is gone, though. And they're going to be really young, and it's going to be awesome. They're the Cardinals, I think. Like, remember last year how everything was really bad? You had a coach that was coming. Their coach is going to get fired this year. So I think that the Redskins are last year's Cardinals. I'm not sure if they draft first overall, but there's that. So I think by default the division goes to the Eagles. I made my predictions, but I very well largely agree with Colin. So that means there's going to be some new playoff teams here. I think the Saints do make the playoffs. I'm not that stupid. I think that the beginning of their schedule, they eke some games out. I'm going to break down their schedule later, but I think that they win enough games. They go 10-6 and they eke into a wild card spot. But there are going to be 3 new playoff teams this year, like there is every single year. No NFC team has made the playoffs 3 years straight, I think. Well, I forgot the stat that he said, but so I think the 49ers win the NFC West. That's a new playoff team. I think the Lions eke into a wild card spot, and that's your second wild card team, so that's 2. And then what division am I missing? The NFC South. I think the Falcons win that, and those are your 3 new playoff teams. The Falcons play a lot of games in domes in the beginning of the season. Matt Ryan, that's just a great front office. You have just all the way around. Dan Quinn, a little bit tumultuous in the front office right now as far as like replaceability and firing guys, but I really do believe in the Falcons and their ability to, you know, overcome things. Matt Ryan has had consistently good years. He's strung some good years together. That secondary is finally helpful. I don't like their draft, but that's not really going to have effect on this year. I mean, Seattle's draft in 2012 didn't really have an effect for at least 2-3 years. So it's not like this year all of a sudden they're going to be great. But that secondary, that young secondary in the 2017 Super Bowl against the Patriots, yeah, that secondary is strong now. They start signing guys like Vic Beasley, Grady Jarrett, and I think that this defense is going to be pretty legit. It's going to be serviceable. And as long as they can play in domes like they do for like the first 12 weeks or something, I think they're going to be good. They're going to play in warm climates. Matt Ryan plays well indoors, and that's going to be the success of this team. They drafted 2 offensive linemen in the first round. I forget their names. Let's see if I can remember their names. Chris Lindstrom and Caleb McGarry, I think. Oh, those 2 names, like, do you know sometimes you're talking and it's just like you bring some thoughts like in the back of your head you haven't thought of in like 2 months. You think it's the names, it's like, oh shit, like a song comes on and all of a sudden you know all the lyrics and you haven't sung it in years and stuff. I just felt like that was like a little bit of a moment there. So those are my 6 playoff teams in the NFC East. I largely agree with Colin Cowherd on this. He said that the Bears are not going to win the division. I tend towards yes. I know their schedule. I made a whole separate video about it. So definitely do check that out. I'll definitely leave a card or a link in the description. And yeah, so that's pretty much it. I really do believe in the Eagles this year. But the same thing you said about this year is the same thing you said last year. So there's a question. There's question marks about all teams. And that's what's beautiful about the NFL. With baseball, there's usually 1 or 2 teams. Like the Giants all of a sudden are popping out of nowhere. Or, I don't even know. The Minnesota Twins are doing great. But with the NFL, there are whole teams that is just like nobody saw this team coming. The Bears were it last year. The Falcons had dealt with a lot of injuries last year. Yeah, I've already mentioned everything. Besides repeating all my opinions that I've said, let's just leave it there, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye, guys.